Okay, it's 8:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. I know Sade is recording this to post on the St. Albans parent listserv or website or system. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our topic tonight is toilet training or potty training. This is a perennial favorite at St. Albans. We've done a couple in-person talks about this, and I believe my partner Judy Greenberg did a Zoom on this at the beginning of the stay-at-home period. And I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk a little bit about this topic because I have a little different perspective than my partner Judy. So Judy's an occupational therapist, and I am a preschool special ed teacher. So my focus is a little bit more on behavior and the role of behavior, whereas she probably focused a bit more on physiological signs of readiness. So even if you heard Judy's Zoom, I bet you'll come away with some different messages tonight. First and foremost, just because we were all at home does not mean this is the best time for everybody to try toilet training. Okay, I know some parents are feeling a lot of pressure to do it right now. I've heard this from parents I've done individual consults with, like, oh, this would just be the best time. I should do this. Um, However, if you are at your wits' end with work and juggling children and everything else, and you are stretched so thin, now is not the time to be adding, puddles around your house and, lots more laundry to do and messes to clean up, where you really do kind of need to drop everything and go deal with it. Um, so right off the bat, I am giving you permission to not potty train during the pandemic stay at home time. Okay. Um, because if you're already stretched pretty thin and pretty stressed out, this will not be pleasant. Okay. To add toilet training on top of everything else. On the other hand, if you are in the position where your workload has significantly dropped off and you're home, and you do feel like you've got some extra time and bandwidth in your brain and your day, this is a great time to do potty training and to work on it. Okay. Keep in mind, this is just the beginning. It typically takes children a good 3 to 6 months to really get the hang of this. So it's not going to be like done in a weekend. There's still going to be accidents here and there. The intense time may be just a few days, but you're going to be seeing accidents for a while. So just prepare yourself for that. Um, Another thing to keep in mind is that this is a really important thing to follow the child's lead on. So if your child is showing no interest in the toilet, it's kind of a hard one to push. Typically, young children who are beginning to potty train, this is usually between the 2 and 3 year old years. So sometime after 24 months, often by 36 months, typically. So sometime in that year. But we also know developmentally that that's the time that children are really asserting themselves and looking for power struggles with you at every corner. And sometimes they just say no before they've even processed your question. You could say, honey, do you want some ice cream? No. And then they will stop and think about what you actually asked and answer. So just beware, you probably have enough battles already that you are facing with your child. And if so, you might not, we don't want potty training to be a power struggle, okay? Because ultimately, you cannot make a child go to the bathroom. It's like eating, sleeping, and toileting. Those are the three acts that children are totally in control on. And ironically, those are the things that I get asked the most questions about. And funny enough, next week, my partner Amy Friedman, who's a speech therapist, is going to be doing her Zoom for St. Albans next week on picky eaters. So she'll be touching on another one of these topics. You can't make your kid eat, and you can't make them use the toilet. So we got to keep this all really positive, in the realm of positive. Follow our child's lead, make sure they're ready. Keep in mind, very few children are really developmentally ready or interested before 24 months. So, different cultures also have different kind of, it's a little different in some cultures. And so if you're, if there's another way that you are familiar with, at an earlier age, go for it. But in general, my experience and kind of the literature, in our country, in the United States, is around, between 2 and 3 years typically. So, and really needing to wait for the child to show those cues. So, um, there is also, the research also shows there is not much benefit to doing real intense potty training before 27 months or so. So, those young 2-year-olds, you can try. You might get into some battles with them, and you might just prolong the process. Research shows that the earlier you start, the longer it'll take. But if you wait too long, then you're more likely to get into issues of the child withholding, and just holding it, and that can get into other medical problems. So there is kind of a sweet spot in there, and definitely if there are siblings involved, that can be helpful. So, older siblings who they're trying to emulate is what I mean. So, but really follow your kid's lead on this one. There are a lot of approaches out there. I think some key things to keep in mind are, again, wait until the child shows interest. And what are some of those readiness indicators? Do they have the motor skills? And what I mean by the motor skills is, can they pull down their pants? Can they pull them back up? Can they step up on a step stool to get to the potty seat? Or can they raise and lower themselves independently between sitting and standing? Those are all really important skills, and they need to be able to do that cold, like no problem. Okay. Other things, imitation skills, because ultimately this is, how children learn things is through imitating. So, are they willing to imitate and copy what they see older siblings doing, or mom and dad, or whoever, in some of the bathrooming? Distractibility is another one. Are they able to focus and kind of stay put? Like, if we're thinking about sitting on the toilet and reading little books together and stuff, can they actually stay and focus? Are they interested? And are they starting to recognize those internal cues of when they need to go? And are those kind of breaking through their play enough that they will say, oh, wait, something's happening, and like notice? Or are they so absorbed in their play that they could really care less and it's not bothering them? Communication skills, they need to be able to say, I need to go. I love that. There's that Sesame Street. That's probably my favorite potty book. It's the one about Grover. And he says, I need to go. And he runs past, it's the little Grover, and he runs by all the other characters on Sesame Street. He says, I have to go. And they say, go where? And he keeps running, and he goes by the next Sesame Street friend. I have to go. And they say, go where? And then you see him just sitting on a toilet. He's like, it's just the cutest, very simple language, repetitive language. Just an awesome little book. So I think it's called I Have to Go, and it's a Sesame Street book. All right, so communication skills, do they have the ability to communicate with you when they need to go, or when they have had an accident, or what have you? And the independent skills, we want them to be saying, I'll do it myself. I do it myself. That's a really good time to kind of catch that wave of independence, and try to work in potty training then, because that's another place we'd love for them to be independent, right? So being real consistent about your routine. So those are some of the indicators. Thinking about being consistent. So, and what I mean by that is, we're always using the same potty seat. We're probably using the same bathroom. Do we have the same routine of like we read 3 books and if nothing's happened, we get up and go and try again later, kind of what's the routine? Diapering should be happening in the bathroom so they learn to associate um, toileting with the bathroom, and that what happens in their diaper belongs in the bathroom. When they have bowel movements, if possible, have them help you dump the diaper, the contents into the toilet and flush it away. We just really need to help that mindset, help them start to associate the bathroom with this part of what their body does, that this is an act that belongs in the bathroom. And that this is where poop goes, is down the toilet. So back to what I was saying in the beginning about, is this really a good time for you and your family to be taking this on? Be positive. You got to be positive. This is so, we don't want any shame, frustration, etc., to be leaching into our interactions with our child around their new toileting skills. Okay, we want to keep it really, really positive. We want to praise their attempts. We want to talk about, oh, I know you can do better next time. Really minimize the attention to the accidents and really praise the effort. Okay, this is a hard thing to manage, to get the hang of. So we really want to praise their efforts. And when they have accidents, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, okay, well, let's clean it up. This leads me to another point. Be sure they help with the cleanup. Okay, this is part of that independence. Like they can help wipe things up with a paper towel. They can help carry their wet clothes to a laundry hamper, or put them in the wash machine if it's front loading and they can reach it. They should totally be involved with kind of the mess and the consequences. Again, remember, we're all about like natural consequences. If you have an accident, wet yourself, the consequence is you stop playing. You got to strip down. You got to go in the bathroom, get yourself cleaned up, take your laundry, put in the laundry hamper or whatever, or in a bag, whatever your routine is. Again, consistent routine. You might just want to keep some plastic bags in the bathroom to put stuff in right there, and then worry about getting it to your washer machine later on. But so have a routine that your child participates in around the cleanup of accidents. Okay. Let's see. So that cleanup, let's see what else. Oh, always, again, in addition to plastic bags, keep extra clothes handy. Again, this is where I get back to like, if you're really stressed out during this pandemic, like this might not be the best time to focus on potty training, because you can have a lot of laundry to do, a lot of extra laundry. On the flip side, you probably have, if you have wipes and antibacterial spray, you probably got it everywhere. So no matter where the accidents happen, chances are you've got some Clorox wipes real handy right now to clean up the mess. So but keep lots of extra clothes. You don't want to have to be running all the way upstairs to their bedroom to get clean underwear and shorts or whatever. Keep a stash in the bathroom that's on the main floor if you have an upstairs, or just think about proximity. Like keep extra clothes and extra bags for the wet stuff, and diaper wipes to clean them up. Keep that stuff handy so you're not, to contain the mess all that much faster. Nighttime, not a focus right now. Okay, so nighttime dryness is a totally separate beast from daytime dryness. So daytime, children have kind of conscious control over. All right, at nighttime, it's like their nervous system and how deep of a sleeper they are and how much their body wakes them up. It's very genetic related, like and kids just get it, or it takes them a few years, and some kids can be daytime dry like 4 years before they're nighttime dry. So pull-ups are for all the same things apply. Let them help clean it up, if they're in pull-ups, or if they're not anymore, have them keep, bath towels handy to put down on their bed, where they, like, just again, no shame, no problem. Remember, nighttime is not something they have any control over. It really just happens. What you can shape is how they respond to it. Like, do they just wake you up and you deal with it, or are you kind of gently helping them deal with the mess, and deal with what they need to do, with whether it's put a towel down, or you keep an extra set of, top sheet, handy that you can throw over. So that nighttime stuff, that some kids, they can be like 7 or 8 before they're really nighttime dry. Okay, so don't be too alarmed about that. And usually when they are nighttime dry, it's just like, ah, they have no idea how it happened, because it really is not a learned behavior so much. There's a very small percentage of kids that need more, an alarm, a wetness alarm or something, but talk to your pediatrician about that, because that doesn't kick in till second or third grade, a bit later. So anyway, but when they're little like this, don't even worry about the nighttime. And I would say for nap, you're kind of playing it by ear. Nap is obviously a lot shorter than nighttime, so they might not need it. On the other hand, if they're a deep sleeper and they're, routinely like wetting themselves during nap, then just put a pull up on them just for nap, and then when they wake up, they take it off, and it becomes part of just their sleep routine, whether it's nap or nighttime. But not pull ups any other time. And you just explain, like, well, this is because when you're asleep, it's hard to tell your body to wake up. So, but when you're awake, you're in charge of your body, and you can manage this. So that's the way I would approach it. So again, don't worry about the nighttime too much. Just know that it happens when it happens, and pull-ups are fine to use until then. Yeah, and as we talked about at the beginning, know that this takes a number of months. It's not just gonna, happen over a weekend. You might get pretty far over a weekend, but there's gonna be setbacks, and pediatricians don't really consider, generally, well, I should say my pediatrician told me it's, a good 6 months, that they really expect kids to be dry and kind of in control of their bladder for 6 months before they consider them really potty trained, because they could get a stomach bug in there. You could have a long car trip, or staying in a hotel or at grandma's house, different changes where for whatever reason you've decided it's easier to put them in a pull-up, and then we slide around with that a little bit, and getting back, or again, like those diarrhea bugs, those always, you get them in a pull-up for that, and then it can be kind of hard. It just takes a little bit of time to work back to underpants after that. So don't worry about it. Just think of it as a process. It's going to take a few months, and you want to stay positive and keep talking about it and really praise the successes. Something that people sometimes ask me about is using, like Cheerios for little boys to aim at when they're peeing in the potty, some sort of like just the bling, to make it extra special or fun. And that's all good at the beginning if you need it. We definitely want to make a big deal over their initial successes. But then we want to be able to fade those. We don't want them to think they're going to get an M&M every time they use the potty, right? Because like at some point you just expect them, like, no, you're potty trained, just use the potty. Like, I'm not going to give you a reward for that, So be careful about the use of M&Ms and stuff. I think social praise always goes so far, and being so proud of your child, and talking it up, when you FaceTime with grandparents, talking about their successes. That's a really big, that's very exciting. And just, again, keeping that positive attitude, having a sense of humor about it. This is generally good parenting advice. Having a sense of humor is always helpful in most situations. Staying calm is another good all-purpose parenting advice. Stay calm, have a good sense of humor, and keep a positive attitude. Those apply to potty training and to most things in the realm of parenting. Okay, also think about nutrition a little bit. If you are trying to, have a lot of opportunities to practice, then we obviously want to be beefing up the fluids. Okay, so more fluids, getting them drinking a lot of water or watered down juice or whatever. We want to keep the fluids going all day long. That creates more opportunities, of course, for using the bathroom. In terms of the bowel movement side, high fiber, less dairy. Think about that. We don't want to plug them up. We want it to be really easy for them to have bowel movements. We don't want them to associate that with any kind of pain or real discomfort. So we want to keep that, keep things moving through the plumbing, because that'll be easier for them. Also, that's back to another readiness indicator, which I'm sure you know about, but just are they staying dry for long periods when they're playing or during the day, during their waking hours? And are they kind of having their bowel movement at the same time every day, kind of a predictable time? Those are good cues for you that their anatomy, kind of that their whole body and physiology is, getting regulated and routinized, and then that's a good time to kind of work on this. And then once we get back, to our regular life, of course, sharing with your child care providers sort of what progress you've made on this, where you're at. Um, you know, when you're planning for this, it's good to kind of bring your child into it, like maybe you're picking out some cool underwear on Amazon, or, like getting them geared up. I remember my oldest, I think my mother gave my daughter underwear for her 2-year-old birthday when she turned 2, and my daughter opened them up, and she was the oldest, so she didn't have much experience within our family around other children. She was the oldest cousin, and she looked at them like, what the heck, and she's like, yeah, whatever, and kind of tossed them aside. No interest. So fast forward a few months, we'd look at them in her drawer. They're right there next to her t-shirts. Oh, those are the underwear. Those are, yeah. It was a while before she kind of had any interest in kind of using them. But that's, greasing the wheels a little, like, here's what they are. This is what they're for, reading a lot of books. So you get your new underwear that you've purchased. You, got your books you're reading, whatever, kind of trying to keep this as an exciting new thing. But we don't want it to be punitive. That's the main thing. So I'm trying to think of some questions, because we have about 8 minutes left, and I'm thinking of the questions that sometimes come up in these talks. So when we do them live, there's a lot of different approaches, and I think just whatever feels right to you is good. Just go with it. I think those padded underwear that are real thick, almost with like the waffle weave fabric, trainer pants, they used to be called, like, good and bad, right? Because the good thing about those is that they're real absorbent. But the bad thing is there's not as much of a spectacular result, because it absorbs it all. So if they're wearing thinner underwear, it's really obvious when they have an accident, right? Because there's a puddle. So, kind of maybe those thicker ones are good if you're going to be like driving in the car somewhere, fingers crossed, hoping they don't, have an accident. But, and same with pull-ups, I think are even further on that continuum of, like, in a pull-up, the child doesn't even know that they've gone, because they're so absorbent. So I think pull-ups are not super helpful for potty training. And I would really reserve pull-ups. If you're going to do this and you're going to try, I would reserve those pull-ups for nap time and overnight. And I would really try to use just regular underwear during the day. Because pull-ups really do just absorb it, and it's hard for them to feel. And then those trainer pants, those thick cotton underwear, those are kind of like the next step. They're kind of in between regular thin underwear and pull-ups in terms of absorbency and how much the child feels it. Like, they'll feel it a little more because it's still fabric and it's wet, but there's not going to be a puddle because they're so absorbent. They'll absorb everything. So that's my thinking about that. Definitely, if you want to, because you're just in the comfort of your own home, letting them, go without anything on the bottom half of their body, that's an option too, especially with the weather getting a little warmer. That's really helpful for them seeing cause and effect, especially boys, like can really see where it's coming from and what's happening. Girls too, to some extent, it's like running down their legs, right? So that's another thing you can do, especially if you're, because you're really hunkered down, you're not going anywhere, we're not, we're just really at home. So just in terms of helping them recognize what's happening. Let's see what other things come up. So just to review, make sure all the bathrooming, all the changing and everything happens in the bathroom. Dump the dirty diapers, the poop into the toilet if possible. Let them flush it down. Keep it really positive. That's the A1 message here. Keep it positive and encouraging, and know that it's a long haul, okay? And at some point it will work out for them. Follow their indicators. Are they pooping regularly at the same time every day? Are they kind of naturally not peeing for longer stretches during the day? Does it seem like they notice when they're about to? Do they go hide behind a couch or go, get that particular look on their face and stop what they're doing? That helps you know they are recognizing that something is happening in their body right now. That's a really good cue. That's a good indicator that they are aware and may be ready. Okay, just to like, let's do this. Avoid the power struggles though. If they're not interested, this is not the sword you want to die on, because there's plenty of other power struggles happening when they're 2, 2.5, 3, turning 3. Okay. Make sure they've got the motor skills, the imitation skills, communication skills, independence and interest. Okay. Make sure all those pieces are kind of in play. Just be real consistent about the routine. Make sure to enlist their help in cleaning up the mess and getting new clothes on and putting the dirty clothes into a bag or something. Don't worry about nighttime. Remember, nighttime is its own whole separate thing that happens more just physiologically when they're ready. Just downplay and minimize the accidents, other than like they're going to help us clean up, but we don't want to berate them about the accidents or over talk them too much. It's just more of a much more matter-of-fact response. Okay. If they can go commando and just be naked from the waist down, that's a good strategy. And then again, remember, do not take this whole thing on if you are stressed to your wits' end. Okay, because there will be a lot more laundry and there's going to be a lot more messes, and you're going to go through a lot more Clorox wipes. And if you're rationing those at this point, like, this might not be what you want to be using your Clorox wipes on, depending on your situation. So just know kind of where you are in your head, and the other people in your household, and if this is something, a piece that you want to add right now to the mix. And just be so proud of their successes, and really encourage their successes, and be real encouraging even when they're not having success, that they're trying and they're learning, and they're such a big boy or big girl, and you're really proud of them, and all that kind of thing. Keep all the bathrooming stuff happening in the bathroom, so they associate it all with that same place. Keep your extra stuff handy, extra clothes, bags, wipes, to clean up the messes. And I mean wipes, both like the Clorox wipes, but also the diaper wipes for their skin to clean them up. High fiber diets, lots of liquids. Try to go less on the dairy, because that can clog them up too, in terms of bowel movements. What else? If there are any other big life things going on, know that they always regress. So, new baby, new job. I would say this, but like, now we've all been here for a while, so this is not like a big new thing anymore. We're all kind of adapted to being all home together. Moving is another big one. And remember, kids just revert a little bit. They regress when there is a big new change. So let's see. And then just communicate. Be sure all of the caregivers in the house are on the same plan, kind of doing things in the same way around toileting if possible. And then be sure to share with your childcare providers, with your teachers at St. Albans, once this is all done, where you guys are at on all this. Okay, and don't rush it. Follow your child's lead on this. It's exciting and fun, and they will get there, and it'll be really exciting when they're there. But it's not a big deal. Don't stress over this. Don't feel pressured that you have to do this right now while we're all home, because you don't. Summer's right around the corner. There'll be plenty of time. Okay, it's more important to follow your child's lead and keep this a loving, positive experience between the two of you. Okay, that's really the most important thing for everything during this pandemic. Just keep it positive. Okay, keep your interactions with your child positive as much as you can. All right. Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Thanks for watching. Good night.